Hello and welcome everybody to our launch event for Storyblock version 2. I'm super thrilled to have you here, and today will be an evening, 1.5 hours of amazing demos, showcases, an amazing roundtable, and just to give you a quick overview of what's going on. I'll be giving a quick keynote without slides even, just talking about the history, because there is no future of storytelling without the past. And we'll have Arisa talking about content creation within the Storyblok V2, with Josephine talking about content organization. We have Sam talking about audience experiences, followed up by Sebastian talking all about tech inside Storyblok version 2. And then we will follow it on with a roundtable with our amazing Jonathan Cylinder from Big People. He's CTO and co-founder there. Katie McKnight actually will join us as well, coming from the content advisory as VP of strategy and consulting. Then our very own Barry Darcy will join directly to the roundtables, and actually he will lead the roundtable. Also with them will be Tamu Diaz, which is a solution architect at Education First, one of our beloved customers, and followed by another beloved customer, Janis Di Sordo, senior front-end developer at Marco Polo. And I'm super thrilled because they will be talking about the future of content experiences. And we wouldn't be here today without properly evaluating the market back in 2015, because back then, Alexander and I, we both looked into the market at an agency. We looked at the different content management solutions in the market, and to be honest, we didn't find anything that useful back then. We found some tools that we liked, that we really encouraged people to use, and we had one preferred solution that sadly ran out of business. So we had to look into more solutions, and we did that. We looked into most of them, we tried them, we noted down what we liked, we noted down what we didn't like, and then we tried to find something that fits into the category of we love, and we couldn't. So what we did actually, and what Alex did, and not so many people know about, and this is this quick history kind of session of the version 1, we actually built a prototype in PHP. So back in 2016, Alexander set up a prototype using PHP. A lot of reloading was going on, and we really fast realized that this wasn't the best option going forward. And I believe like 2-3 days later, we introduced Vue.js, which is still powering Storyblok version 2 today. But back then we used version 0.11. So even Evan didn't know about the huge success that Vue.js will come in the next couple of years. And we moved the backend to Ruby. So no more PHP on our side. Maybe on your side if you implement something on top of Storyblok's API, but for us, it's only Ruby and Vue.js in the backend, plus a little bit PHP here and there for image optimization. The first prototypes were launched to customers, and we actually launched the first website of Storyblok.com. Some of you might be familiar with Web Archive, and you might find our very first version back then. And on the very first site of Storyblok.com, there was a small but really meaningful Easter egg that Alex built into one of the images there. It's actually a small unicorn, because Alex always mentioned, hey, we'll become a unicorn, we'll get there one day, and I believed him. So here we are now, back in 2022, and there's been a lot going on. So when we started building this prototype even further, based on Vue.js and Ruby, the overall version 1 was then built purely with that, and we added more documentation. So we added Nuxt.js for documentation of the API. We added some smaller demos also with Nuxt.js. But most of the time we focused on building Vue.js components for version 1. Back in 2017, we didn't even have an image upload. So we added the first component inside the setup to allow that. We then added an image service to optimize images. We then added more different field types, and believe it or not, there was no option for content types. There was only one root content type, which actually was named root, because Storyblock was started with the idea of everything should be a component within a larger root component. That is always the case. So the content types you're creating today were actually the first piece of the custom feedback we received from the first 100 people that have registered. And it's crazy to think about some of these actually work now with us at Storyblock itself. So highly recommend giving us feedback. We really read that. And we actually react on that as well. So in 2017, we then launched Storyblok.com. We got our first couple of users. We got our first couple of customers onboarded. And we launched Storyblok.com not just as a website, but actually also as a spin-off of an agency here in Austria. And so many of you might don't know, but the spelling error, Storyblock without the C, was actually not a mistake. It was a proper decision because the domain was already gone. So we had to work around it. And both Alex and me figured like, hey, we definitely get Google to recognize that we know, yeah, hey, Storyblock, it's not a typo, it's actually meant like this. And it turned out that after 4 weeks, it actually recognized Storyblock without the typo. So that was a huge success for us back in the days. And actually, when we launched that, the first 1,000 users also happened in the first 4 weeks. So even though Google believed we were a typo, more and more users registered and really liked that version 1 that we have built. It was a small prototype and gone slightly larger. In 2018, we then relaunched our website. We added some more features on the website itself, including documentation, journeys. We added an article area where you can actually search for certain things, an FAQ area because we got quite a few frequently asked questions. And we added more features, including content pipelines and content stages, which are now basically used by most of our clients in the version 1, and now also version 2. We onboard more and more clients, and the clients got larger, so also their requirements towards the platform increased significantly. We added some more features like a complete asset management solution, where you can add tags to data entries, where you can add focal points to images itself. And we also introduced custom field types. Custom field types allows you to basically integrate in any other solution, so you can load data from an e-commerce solution and store that information coming back from there in Storyblock as an API. And so in 2019, really fast forward, we introduced webhooks next to the content pipeline, content stages. So it's been only 3 years since you can listen to a published hook, a safe hook, and content pipeline was published or stage was changed, webhook. And this was used because Vercel and Netlify actually got a huge push in 2019. I still remember hosting our first documentation site for the APIs also on Netlify. And now we even use Vercel and Netlify here and there for some of our pages. Even the V2, the first V2 landing page where you were able to register for a boarding pass for the rocket ship was built and hosted on Vercel using Next.js. Which is crazy to think about, that we are now mixing those all of those headless and technologies, including infrastructure providers such as them. We added workflow stages, so that replaced part of the content stages previously introduced in 2018. Within the workflow stages, you were able to give approval to certain people, approval rights to certain people. You were able to move workflow stages around, so having a translation stage, a reviewing stage, later on a ready to publish stage, and actually you were able also to customize it. And we actually decided to get our first funding. So we raised 2.5 million back in 2019 in December. We only announced it in, I believe it was February 2020, when we already hired the first couple of people. And some of them actually will talk today, including Sam, who will give a demo around basically audience experiences. So stay tuned. I'm not going to show you V2 myself today because I want to basically build the suspense a little bit. I know V2 is already out there. Some of you might not have seen it. Some of you might not even have seen version 1. before and might be completely new to Storyblok. But that is all right. Like version 2 is such a big improvement, not just on the usability of the platform, but also in the way we can ship features faster. Because one thing that you need to remember, up until 2020, when we hired more and more people, it was just Alexander and myself building more and more features on top of version 1. And even though some people would say I'm not a bad developer, Alex is way better than that and way better than I am. And you should be happy that there is no more front-end code from myself in the new version 2. I looked into some PRs, but I did not contribute code myself in the front-end, still some code of myself in the backend. But I can promise you the people working on the product team here are so much better than I am, or that I was. So highly recommend trying version 2. And that was in 2019 when we actually already had the idea of, hey, we should think about maybe restructuring something or have a proper design done on all of the user interfaces. So even though it was really nice to look at and it was working, performant, we had to feel that there's something missing. There's some, how should I say it, something unique missing that makes Storyblock look and feel like Storyblock. And it might be the speed, it might be the performance, it might be the use and look and feel of all the sections somewhat should be similar and not basically changed on some of the features that we got, those feature requests that we got. So in 2020, we not only launched another new website, and you might see the pattern here that every year we introduce a new website or at least a variation of the existing site. But we also started hiring properly. So we recruited a team of 24 amazing individuals across already close to 20 countries, quite distributed. We're still a remote company, we still do that because it actually works. So it's actually something that you could bring to your own companies as well, and suggest that it might be working actually. So we started V2 design in 2020. So the first screens that Nicola designed back then were so nice to look at that all of us were like, oh, we need to start building that. We need to start the first prototypes. We need to find the first use case where we can start introducing new components, upgrading features, and building on top of that. And it took us a while to find a proper use case without rebuilding everything from scratch, because that was actually what has been done with version 2. We have built everything from ground up, not just because it's nice to have or because it looks so much nicer. No, but it actually gives us more scalability and maintainability for all of our customers going forward. So instead of 2 people, 3 people, 4 people being able to maintain it, we have now a team of more than 40 people being able to actually maintain Storyblok.com, Storyblock.com, and all integrations that we have built so far. And the best thing, our customers didn't have to upgrade. So all that was needed was to click this button in the interface in our beta version since 2021 to try it out. And now we are switching more and more customers over to the V2. So the first prototypes were built in 2020 with just a few buttons here and there. The site navigation has been built. And with 2021, we had more or less more and more designs ready. So we also started something else in 2021, and most of you have maybe heard about the 1.5 million partner fund, marketing fund that we have launched a couple of weeks ago, because that was the result of 1.5 years of partner work that has been done. We're now close to 1,250 registered partners that work with Storyblock on a daily basis. And the best thing about that is that Storyblock version 2 had its origin in the learning management solution that we've built for our partners. So the partner portal has been the first area that we have rebuilt in the V2 design and in the V2 look and feel. And for that, and I guess that's actually quite funny, we used Storybook, and many of you might have confused Storyblok with Storybook or heard that about that confusion on Twitter or other social media channels. We actually use Storybook at Storyblok, and we really like it. So if you visit block.inc, you will see our open source design system. With that, we have built the version 2 of Storyblok. So we started implementing the partner portal in that area of time, so in January, February 2021. And we have then launched our complete learning management solution for our partners back then. We also started implementing more and more components into that design system, so we can then basically later on implement our screens and all of our UI elements based off those components. So if you look into our design system, you can see all of our small pieces that we have basically come together into app.storyblock.com version 2 now. And we actually increased the team to more than 100 people. We also raised another 8.5 million in 2021, and we prepared everything so we can scale faster and even serve more of our customers. So with 2022 now, so it's been 8 months or 7 months plus a few days, we have now been able to hire another 92 people. So we are now 192 people at Storyblock, and all of them are super thrilled about the version 2. We just had our team meeting earlier, and you should have seen the faces there. They're just amazing. And if you want to see the faces, we're still hiring, so feel free to join us anytime as well. And we have launched version 2 2 days ago. So on Tuesday this week at midnight CET, we launched Storyblock version 2, including, you guessed it, a new landing page. So every year by now, we have launched a new landing page, not just because it's so easy being done with Storyblock, but because it just makes sense. Storyblock, as it's getting not just older, but getting more mature, matured so much that in the last couple of years, we increased not just the team members, but the people working on the platform, people working on integrations, working with customers, with partners, with each other, that all of them are now coming together in this new version. And I'm super thrilled that next up will be Arisa, and she will be talking about everything surrounding Storyblock version 2 and content creation. Thank you so much for listening to my really quick look into the past and into the future, with the future being automation, personalization, and maybe a marketplace. And I will leave the teasering at this because there will be more news coming up shortly. See you soon. Up to you, Arisa. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dominic. It was really interesting to hear about the history or the origin of the Storyblock. And I'm so happy to be part of the celebrating this big moment, the V2 Launch Event. And from now on, I'm going to take you to the world of content creation. So I hope you all are ready to take a look at it. All right, so our new V2 visual editor brings the freedom to the content editors to create content. It has the new UI, as you can see, with a great UX. I'm going to take you how it is really great UX, as well as the real-time editing experience, and a lot of new functionalities that are designed to make content creation faster, more intuitive, and easier. And every component can be edited and customized in the visual editor, like images, rich text, mount options, and many more various field types. For example, if I want to start editing content in components, I can jump into the components by the new V2 feature called Block Browser. So let's jump into this featured article section component. Then I can change the layout from the tab and the field types I created. So let's change these columns from 3 into 2 and change the background color from light to white. And I was able to complete the change, the layout of the featured articles component in almost no time. Block Browser is a new V2 feature that allows me to search all the blocks, aka components in this story. Also, Storyblock adopts the atomic design methodology to nest components to create reusable layouts. With a new V2 Block Browser, we can see which components are being nested at once. If I want to, for example, change the orders of the components, it can be done very easily by simply click, then drag and drop. Let's say that I want to place this hero top component to be displayed in under the featured article section. I just need to click, then drag and drop. Easy. So now this hero component has been placed in under the featured article section. Also, our new V2 UI allows us to access everything you need on the same page to create and edit content. If I want to create, duplicate, and delete new stories and folders, I can easily do that by taking a look at this left-hand side of the sidebar. And while I'm doing all these, I do not have to, need to exit the visual editor to do that anymore. With our new V2 UI, you can browse all the components on the visual editor without leaving the screen from the new V2 block library. You can create and configure all the components on the same screen. Also, most of all important and interesting, as well as exciting communication tools and configurations are available from the top main bar with icons in V2. You can find, for example, entry configuration, workflow stages, and discussions from here. It will speed you up for sure to quickly access those features without searching them to find. Creating content is a team job, and with that, you will need a place where you can create and edit content very easily to communicate well with your team members. So let me introduce Discussions. Discussions is a new V2 collaboration tool, and with Discussions, you can leave the messages in field types and content component levels. You can mention your team members by notifying them. To check open discussions and resolve discussions, we can see them from the discussions icon in the main bar. Let's move on to the workflow. So workflow is also located in the main bar. There are already default workflow stages, such as drafting, reviewing, and ready to publish. If you want to add more additional workflow stages, you can easily do that by configuring in the settings screen. If you want to assign specific users and roles, you can easily do that from here too. In Storyblock, all components are reusable, and it will enable content editors and developers to seamlessly design anything they like and publish content. It's like building Legos. Developers and content editors have the freedom to create any component design they like. The only limit in here is their imagination. Content teams can use and reuse components to create and customize unique user experiences. So our Storyblok V2 makes working with components and content even easier. As we saw quickly, Block Library is your hub for configuring and modifying components across all the teams. With our new V2 feature, Block Library, you can also create new components from scratch. Block Library is very easy to customize for your team. Content teams can find, access, and edit components directly from the visual editor, making it easier for team to collaborate. One of the features to configure Block Library is called presets. Presets make content creation much faster and much more efficient. And if I want to see how the components will look like before I add them, I can easily see the preview from the presets. So for example, when I try to add the blocks, and if I want to take a look at the preview before I add this featured article section, I can easily have a quick preview from presets. And with new UI from the V2, you can customize icons and icon colors very easily to make it more visualized. Including what I uploaded, the preset screenshot image in here, all assets in your Storyblock is being handled by our asset management system. All right, to summarize what we saw together in here, our Storyblok V2 offers you a new way to create content intuitively and collaboratively. It's designed to help both developers and content team members to create and scale better content creation experiences. So let us know what's your favorite part or features when it comes to creating content. And of course, feel free to leave your comments in the chat below. From now on, my colleague Josephine will show you more about the content organization on V2. Over to you, Josephine.
Thank you so much, Arisa. So as we've just seen, there are many improvements to the UI of the visual editor, and I'm going to now show you how these improvements actually extend beyond the content creation to the whole experience of how teams can organize their content. Let's first have a look at our dashboard. So here the UI has been redesigned to make workflows easier and more intuitive, and you get a snapshot of all your stories, your assets, you get an overview of everything that is going on in your team, you get your content activities as well as the API requests. And with a new quick actions over here at the top, you can jump to your settings, the workflows, or your access token. Let's now have a closer look at content organization in V2. So the Content Hub as well has been redesigned to make it easier for you to track and find all your content. We have moved the filtering option and the sorting tool here to the search bar, and the popular releases app can now be found at the top right corner here. Everything is in one place for you just to grasp. Now, to further help teams organize their content, we have also rebuilt our digital asset manager. And this is one of the most powerful tools we have ever built, actually. It's jam-packed with new features, and it's going to make organizing and optimizing your assets easier and a lot more fun, to be honest. So let's open up one of the images here. And you can not only add an alt text and a title, but you can actually create tags to group your content. You can set images to private now in V2 if you wanted to, include copyright information and expiration date. In the References tab, you will see where your asset has been used, and you can quickly jump there. Now, there is also a completely new and really exciting feature. It's the image editor in V2. It's part of the asset manager, and it's completely free to use for all. So here I can crop and scale my image. I can flip it around, fine-tune it by adjusting the contrast or the saturation, apply filters, set annotations, or even include stickers if I want. And that way, I can make all the improvements that I need to my image right here within Storyblock. Now, we have already seen how teams can organize their content and manage their assets. And one of the challenges to organizing content is that every team has unique needs, right? So one thing that makes Storyblock so popular is how you can extend the app and make it your own. So customizing and extending Storyblock has actually never been easier. You can, for example, browse the apps directory where you can find further apps to enhance Storyblock's capabilities. And all of these apps are maintained by Storyblock, so you don't have to worry about any of this. We constantly improve the apps and add new ones, so keep a lookout. And speaking of customization, in your settings, you can always add permissions to your roles, and the new UI allows you to keep a really good overview of everything that is here going on, and that the different kinds of permissions that the different roles in your team have. So to sum up, we have seen the new ways to improve how teams can organize their content, manage and improve their assets, and even editing images within Storyblock. And we've seen the many ways in which you can customize and extend Storyblock to make the most of your project. With that, I'd like to hand over to Sam.
Hey everybody. So you might have realized that this is actually a live show and Sam is muted as in every live call that we have so far. So as you can see, Sam is just realizing, oh damn, I've been muted. Damn. So still muted Sam, but let's try to fix that, I guess. Nope, still not hearing you. And as every good moderator of a show, I will just have Sam figured out in the background. And I will tell you a quick and funny thing, and actually have a challenge for you. I posted on Twitter a couple of years ago, an image with a small teasering of the version 2, and it all coming together now. So whoever finds it first and sends it to me on Twitter, my DMs should be open, receive something that nobody knows yet, besides myself. So quick challenge for you. If you find it on Twitter, on my own channel, should be in media. I just checked, it's still there. Quick challenge for you. Oh, and Sam, I can hear you.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Finally, I had to restart my browser. So now you should hear me. So let's start again.
Sounds good. Sit. Over and out.
Good. And I'm sharing my screen, Sid. So I hopefully that screen sharing also works. So one more time, thank you, Josie, and thank you, Dominic, for saving me. And I hope the screen sharing also works. I just wait for that. Great. Super. So one more time, thank you very much. I really have to say, it's incredible to see all the new features that are coming to the version 2 of the Storyblock, especially the block explorer and also the image editor is something that making my life and the life of the whole documentation team a much better and faster. Now, however, I'm going to talk how Storyblock serves as a centerpiece for creating better and the most powerful audience experience out there. Storyblock already integrates with any technologies out there. So whether we are talking about the frameworks that just emerged yesterday or the technologies from 90s and millenniums, if you can read our API, you can connect with us. And with our modern SDKs, we support already all the major frameworks, and you can really build your website and application in a matter of a minute. Now, we also understand that you want to set up your best of the breed tool set. So Storyblock, that's the content management system, and the other tools. Storyblock supports and can be extended with anything out there. You can, whether we are talking about the e-commerce solutions, the personalization tools, or the search engines, we can extend and connect together. Take as a sample this website. We already built a website together with Josie and Arisa, and if I would like to feature and offer some trips to the universe to explore it, all I need to do now is basically choose and select the products directly from my e-commerce solution. Here I can add the Explore Universe tab, and I am going to choose select the products, and the products then I can directly select from the Shopify without even leaving the Storyblock itself and the visual editor. Imagine how cool is this for content teams. You can select the trip to the moon, to the Mars, go and explore the Mandalore together with Grogu and the Mandalorian for all the Mandalorian fans. And now all of this works, of course, together with all the features that Arisa and Josie showed you. And then if you want to use it and reuse it again, you can do that here directly on the website by adding it on the bottom, where I can again use the same type of the component, and in this case maybe just feature the plans for the products. My internet connection is a little bit tricky, so I'm having maybe a little difficulties. Now, as you can see, I selected the Falcon plans, and this is not everything, of course, because for the best audience experience, what you also need is the personalization. And you can personalize your content in many ways. You can include, of course, the external tools, like Optimizely, which we already have integration with, or you can also use the framework in a little bit simple ways, directly using the Storyblock. One of the ways we already offer is the personalization directly here, where you can select and create a tab, and there you can select your targeted audience. So if I now choose here the marketers and the salesmen, add them, and then publish, my content will be directly sent to your engine together with your personalization engine. They kick in and show the products only to the personas they need to see it. The same, however, the same goes with another most important topic, because if you want to create the best audience experience out there, you need to speak to your audience with the correct language. So now I'm speaking about the translations and the languages. In Storyblok, we offer 4 different strategies how to translate your content right now. And it can be easy as just selecting the language directly from a drop down. And in a matter of the seconds, you see the translated content and you can edit your images, your text, and more. But you can use it also even for changing the tone you speak to different audience. So you can personalize the whole website directly using with the drop down where you create a whole new experience for the space group. And that brings me to one and the most important point that you hear lately a lot about the omnichannels. Because it's very important to deliver the right content to the right omnichannel. In Storyblok, we offer multiple ways how you can cover your omnichannels. And one of the ways is the Our Dimension app. In Dimension app here, I can just simply select the mobile app and see the content of my website directly, how it would look like for the mobile users. And I can edit the content there or create it from scratch. But most importantly, I can also reuse it for the website and for the mobile app. So the parts can be reused. And this is basically what I wanted to show you and demonstrate how Storyblok serves as a centerpiece for creating the best audience experience out there and help you to create the most efficient storytelling using the translation and the personalization services of Storyblok together with integrations to any framework you would like to and your favorite framework, plus delivering the content to the omnichannels you really need. Now I'm going to give a word to Sebastian, our VP of Engineering, who will be talking about the improvements in the technologies behind the version 2 of the Storyblok. And all I need to now do is thank you for a little bit thank you for the difficulties and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. It's always amazing to see all the new developments and the new features we have added to Storyblok. And as my previous presenters mentioned already, Storyblok's headless architecture empowers developers with the ability to create really powerful digital experiences. Now let's dive into some of the not so obvious improvements that we made in the background to make V2 an even more impressive release. Along with the best in breed visual editor shown by Arisa already, the new suite of collaboration tools and the revamped digital asset manager we saw in the demo by Josephine, and the extensibility demonstrated by Sam, V2 is also a major milestone for the quality of our entire code base. Not only is all of Dominic's front-end code now removed completely, the update will also improve our development velocity tremendously due to the better structure and the removal of legacy parts. The development team, where I can only make a big shout out and congratulate every single one on what they have achieved, has been working more than 30 sprints on this release and has solved almost 2,500 tasks in about 250 user stories to bring this application to life. Since the first release of the app, the team has created 127 releases until today. So you can tell that this is a very well-tested product already. A feature that is available for some time already, but is part of this release, are the new and improved APIs. The new backend possesses our fastest and most powerful APIs. As part of the V2 upgrade, both our content delivery API and the GraphQL API, which are used to deliver the content, have been updated with new functionalities, better caching, and streamlined response times. As a result, our users have now up to 3 times faster response times with V2. One feature that our customers have been asking about regularly is now also available with V2, alternative regions for your content. We have been hosting all data in our data centers in Europe since the beginning of the company. We did that for privacy purposes. We did that because we are a European company. And we also did that because we were not able to add a second data center that quickly. Starting with V2 now, it is possible to also select the US as a second hosting region once you create a new space. Later this year, we will not only allow moving spaces between the different regions, but we will also work on adding more and more regions to the list of available options. Looking at you, Australia. As an ISO 27001 certified CMS, Storyblock is one of the best choices for an enterprise-grade CMS available on the market. We have gone through the audit beginning of this year. The certification testifies that Storyblock is thoroughly tested and monitored through best-in-breed security protocols. The certification also testifies that every line of code that we produce follows high security standards from inception through the development process to QA and then into the release. And we did not only audit our hosting infrastructure, but we also covered all aspects of the company like operations, human resources, or finance as well. So this is a very huge step for us and also for the security of the product. With the release of Storyblok V2, we are doubling down on our driving purpose to build the world's leading CMS experience for all teams, be it developers or editors. V2 is our most significant release ever. We are staying true to our promise to building a headless CMS that works well with other systems in the ecosystem. And therefore, we have also optimized the APIs and we try to be a good citizen in this ecosystem. We have also refreshed our SDKs now for this major release, and you will see how smooth it is to use our JavaScript of framework-specific SDKs now. V2 also gives us the foundation to start innovating regarding integrations, plugins, and apps. We are now set up for many new innovations in this area as well. With that, I would like to give the word to Barry, our VP of Partner, who will lead the panel discussion about the future of content experiences. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Sound is working okay for everybody this time? Just to confirm, everybody can hear me very good. Okay, well, welcome everybody to today's exciting Storyblok V2 launch event. We've heard lots of exciting news and stories from different people today, and it's really great to finally showcase some of these features. In this, one of our final sessions, we're joined by a mix of our customers, agency experts, and some real industry experts, I would say, to have a real meaningful discussion around content and what CMS means into the future. So before we jump into some questions, I'd like to first just go around the group and introduce, I would like to introduce each of the panelists here today. So first we have Jonathan from Made People, our agency partner. Jonathan is the CTO and co-founder of our very important agency in Sweden. We also have Kathy McKnight, VP of Strategy and Consulting at the Content Advisory. Very excited to welcome you here today, Kathy. Thank you for joining. We have Telmo, who is Education First, one of our really important and long-term customers, I might add. And Telmo is a solution architect with them. Johannes is also joining us. Johannes is a senior developer with another one of our really important customers, Marco Polo. So now that we've introduced everybody, I'd like to just jump in quickly with the first question. And the first question I have on my list today, we've obviously talked a lot about V2 and the launch of V2 and some of the features that come with it. Can I ask, what are your first impressions? What really stand out to you guys about V2 and today and this week's launch? And maybe Jonathan, you could jump in first with some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. I think that the biggest thing for me with V2 was that you managed to create a new interface that has more things. It's easier to find your blocks. It's easier to kind of structure your content and make sense out of it. But I think like the biggest thing for me, like intuitively, was that it felt like I was even closer to the content than before. I mean, the biggest thing for Storyblock has been always for us and for all of our clients that our clients can work with, like they are one with their brand when they build their content. And I feel like the feeling you get in the V2, apart from all the other, improvements, are that you're even more integrated with your content.
No, thanks for that, Jonathan. Super glad to hear those positive initial reactions. Any other thoughts from the panel? Any other Storyblock users or any thoughts related to the same question? What were your first impressions of V2?
Well, I'll go.
Oh, Kathy, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. So, of course, being on the consulting side of things and helping organizations with their content strategies, content certainly, and the accessibility and the conformability of content is important. But I think ultimately, unless a tool can be easily adopted, it can do all things for all people. But if it's not easy to use, then people aren't going to use it and it's all for naught. So I think the improvement in the user interface as well as the new visual editor are essential for user adoption and actual using the tool. So kudos on that.
Great. Thank you very much, Kathy. Telmo, any thoughts from your side on initial thoughts for V2?
Yeah, obviously, I would echo Jonathan and Kathy. I know the amount of time you guys have been working and polishing the V2 interface from the first beta we tested, and that's remarkable, the optimization in terms of the actual usability. But I have to say, on the technical side, I'm very happy with the speed of the APIs. That for us specifically on build systems and delivery is very important. It's one reason why we create infrastructure from time to time, just to accommodate for that, and the localization. So having the content in the US, for instance, that's actually a pretty good thing for delivery, since we have also global business, and it will make our lives a lot easier. So all in all, kudos, great job.
Brilliant. Thanks, Telmo. I guess Sebastian's few words before our discussion here was quite meaningful for you there with those few points that you just mentioned. So thank you for that. Johannes, any thoughts from your side?
Yeah, I'm also very excited to see the new version. And you didn't even rebuild it, but you shipped already new features. So I'm thinking already in my head how we're gonna implement that stuff. For example, dimensions, maybe for our future channels, who knows? But really excited to see all the improvements.
Great. Thank you very much, guys, for your thoughts on that. It's really nice and refreshing to hear your thoughts on V2. Another question that comes up, and we've talked a lot today about omnichannel delivery, storytelling, and content. Can you tell me a little bit more about what does storytelling and content mean to you? And maybe if we could get started this time with you, Kathy.
Thanks. Yeah, stories have been a part of human existence since day one. That is how we connect with people. That's how we track our history. And I think now, even more so, it's becoming more and more important. It took businesses a while to log into the fact that we need to be storytelling. So it's about pulling together the best suited content and the elements, so the different pieces of that content, to be able to evoke an emotion, a reaction that creates a positive connection with the topic at hand, as well as the company that's delivering it. And in order to stand out, it is about being able to pull those pieces together and be relatable. So I think that's where, storytelling in its essence, it's not just telling a good story, it's about telling a relatable story that connects with the audience.
No, thanks for that, Kathy. That's a very, very strong answer that I would also share the same opinion on. And I guess a follow-up question to that one is, what are the key topics or challenges that businesses are facing today when it comes to telling stories across multiple channels, delivering through that omni-channel approach? Jonathan, maybe you could jump in with some thoughts on that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think like one of the biggest things is that, for instance, you need kind of good structure on things, because there could be a case where you have different types of, or the same type of content, but it needs to end up in different scenarios. And I think sometimes you tend to create content like only for the website, for instance, or something else, and that limits you, and that that makes all of your communication kind of single tracked or whatever. But I think if you try to deconstruct the content more and more, I think that makes it easier to compose new things, and kind of lowers the threshold when you need to publish new content, for instance.
Yeah, no, great answer, Jonathan. Thanks for that insight. And I guess a follow-up question, maybe on the more technical side, what technologies will companies need to succeed in this new world of digital storytelling? And maybe Telmo, you could offer some insight on that.
I can try. I think at this stage in our lives where everything is getting detached, meaning going headless, also removed a lot of responsibilities from the CMS. I think a system or a series of systems that communicate efficiently with each other, like at scale, the architecture really is key. So depending on the company, leveraging localized content in tandem with data and insights, for instance, to produce personalization. It sounds simple, but that's a massive orchestration. So companies that ace this, I really believe that they really raise the bottom line.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks for that insight, Telmo. And another question, like in the real world, as a customer, Johannes, how do you feel you're successfully delivering these content experience as a heavy user of Storyblock?
Yeah, so we already heard this word headless multiple times, and this is exactly what we need, what Marco Polo needs. So currently we are in production with our online shop, and but we are having plans. So we're gonna rebuild our company page. We of course also using Storyblock there. We will have a B2B shop where we can also use Storyblock. So it's not really so a CMS that is connected to specific use case or specific technology. Should be able to use it whatever you want to have in the future, because sometimes you also don't know. If you want to go for an app, you should be prepared, and that for headless is definitely the way to go. And it's maybe also not the thing of shipping to different front ends. It's kind of also to be connected or within your architecture. So it should be kind of an open system where you also can write data, in this case in your CMS, which is also important to us.
Mm-hmm. Thanks very much for that insight, Johannes. Super interesting as well. And another question for Kathy. We're talking a lot about the successes right now. Maybe could you give us a little bit of information? You're working and advising many different businesses. What common mistakes or what common content specific mistakes are you seeing out there?
So I think one big one is really not understanding the audience. So either treating all audiences the same or trying to be all things to all people all the time, which is virtually impossible. So really, narrowing down and focusing on some core audiences that you're going to target. Certainly there's going to be others that see the content, but creating the best dynamic experiences for those. And I think also one of the other big challenges is that many, I would say most probably, organizations think about content in final asset format. So they think, oh, I need a long form paper, or I need a blog post, or I need a video, rather than thinking about the various content components that they need to be able to deliver the best content in context to what the audience is looking for. So, when they think about doing a video with a subject matter expert or on a specific topic, not just thinking about one specific video, but thinking about all the things that they could do with that content and leverage it and get more out of it.
No, very interesting. I guess to throw that question out more broadly to the rest of the panel, what does good content look like in your thoughts? Maybe we can kick off with Telmo.
Sorry, no, I was muted.
No worries.
I really think it's more of an enabler and more of a blocker, if that makes sense. So the technology itself will enable you to do things when you start orchestrating that you did not think of, but also one thing that I've seen across even my experience at EF, but my professional experience throughout, is that whenever it's easier to create content, people iterate more. When they iterate more, they get better content, they crop better images, and that creates in itself like a snowball that makes the bar higher for everything new that is delivered. So I think it's really more than enabler than it's necessarily sparking creativity. But not having blocks and technical blocks and kind of workflows that create a certain strife with the team make it that you can be more creative, if that makes sense. And that's definitely one of the reasons where with Storyblock, and it's one of the things that sets it apart.
Great, really, really good answer, Telmo. Really interested to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Anything else to add to that, Jonathan or Johannes, on the topic of what makes good content?
I mean, what the less you need to think about different limitations as to the format where it's being published, I think the better. It goes on the same track as design versus development, and we all know the people who have gone the headless route. You can kind of disconnect those two, which gives designers more freedom, and less dependencies on tech. And I think with content it's the same, actually. So yeah.
Thanks, Jonathan. Anything to add, Johannes, or have we covered most topics?
Yeah. Also from my side, there shouldn't be a technical limitation. And what also helps if you are fast in shipping content, maintaining content, but also fast in developing new content elements. That's also a key success, I would say.
Yeah, no, strongly agree. Thanks, Johannes. And I guess a follow-up question to that, right? We're talking about what does successful content look like? We talked a lot today again about storytelling. What does the future of storytelling look like? Maybe Kathy, you could kick us off again on that one.
Sure. I think it will again continue to foster empathy and caring and connection between the audiences and the companies or brands that are delivering it. And it's about relatable content. So continuing to stay, again, connected to the audience. And I think meeting them where they are. So there's been some great examples of content, particularly like content marketing, where they're thinking outside of the box. They're thinking beyond, their .coms and even beyond social and moving into things like Discord and various other channels. And it's about making that connection with the audience where they are at the time. That's relevant.
Great. Thanks for your insight on that, Kathy. And I guess a follow-up question, we talk a lot today, and it is our goal at Storyblock to build the future-proofed CMS, and to throw that question out to the room, we're talking about the future of storytelling, what good content looks like. What does a future-proof CMS look like? Maybe we could start with Telmo.
So I really believe in the open extensibility plugins integration. And again, there are a few products that already have that. But that usability focus, like having the detached data sources, but still having kind of a very localized, very rich experience is key. Having a great asset manager, and as time goes by, maybe even integrations with digital asset managers, but also real-time collaboration capabilities. Like at the end of the day, it's really about creating composable content that can reuse across multiple channels. So the more channels that you can reach, the more tooling that you can integrate. I think that will definitely make a headless CMS a bit more robust, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, thanks for that insight, Telmo. And that openness and the ecosystem that we recently launched at Storyblock, I think, is a real key to that. Being flexible and allowing the connection to different data sources to deliver these excellent experiences. Anything to add to that, maybe from Jonathan, on the future-proofed CMS or the future of CMS? What does that look like in an ideal world for you?
Yeah, I completely agree with Telmo, and I think it's about having the option to do something composable, or like you mentioned earlier, atomic design. You know, it has the concepts of you don't really know exactly where something is supposed to be used until, you know, there's a final context about it. And I think when you build your content and you structure up your content, the more you kind of think in those layers, the easier it is to make it, to keep it future proof, because you might, you know, create a new website. You might want to distribute your content in different channels, but it should be the same content or variations of it or whatever. So I think that's key. Like that you should do your, like Kathy said, you should create your content for your audiences and not necessarily for the platform or the channel. Like that comes after.
Yes.
Okay. Super. Thanks for your insights on that, Jonathan. In a slightly different change of pace, obviously V2 came online this week. Super exciting for us, and that's why we're all here to celebrate today. Johannes, I'd like to ask you maybe a little bit more about the period of transition when you guys started to use V2. Can you tell us from the content editing experience from you and your team, how did that go?
So actually, I think we more or less all started 2 days now, 3 days ago now, when you released the feature. I had a first look as a developer a few weeks before, and I was very surprised. So I had all the features working, so nothing was missing, and that was really cool to see. And so far looks really, really promising. I think you need a few days to get used to the new interface. It's always like this. So before you maybe knew where to click exactly, but now you really need to switch. But so far the UI and usability looks very good, and it's I'm very happy to see the new version.
Brilliant. Super glad to hear that. And Telmo, maybe same question to you. How have you felt the transition has gone in the education first side in terms of activating and using these new features?
Yeah, so it's pretty much on our side still in proof of concepts and experimentation. We have a number of platforms that would take quite a bit of time to take full advantage of V2, but all of the feedback so far across the different departments, across the different teams has been great, like really, really great. One thing that, I mean, I know it's not new, but having the previews for the components that you're using, which we were not using or leveraging before, that is also a bit of a game changer for the end kind of sales, marketing pipeline type of user that doesn't really know the names that we decided to give to specific components. So all in all, through the whole ecosystem, through the whole marketing, sales, tech pipeline, it's been very well received.
Brilliant. Good to hear, Telmo. And it's nice to hear from both of you that you're leveraging a lot of the existing capabilities and planning to add some more. Maybe just to open that up to you too, Jonathan, from the agency perspective, how have you guys felt the rollout has been from passing that over to your customers?
I mean, most of them are just like kind of jumping into it themselves, and it seems to work. So I mean, that's great, I guess. I mean, obviously there are some changes to the interface or big changes, but you have the core things there still, right? So it's not like it's not like it's a completely new CMS. Yes. And you know the context that your content had when you built it in the old interface. So it's easy to understand kind of the UX relevance to it in the new V2, I think.
Brilliant. No, good to hear again, to summarize, that everybody is leveraging it, planning to leverage some of the new features that we've talked about today and just enhance that user experience with the product. So it's very exciting to hear that. Thanks, guys. And one final question that I want to throw out to the room today. Here at Storyblock, we feel that there's a business need in the market to change to this modern stack, and we're very into this ecosystem approach. And Telmo, you touched on the ease of use and integration with Storyblock as being a key benefit for you. What are the business reasons, as you guys see them, for driving this change? And Kathy, we might start with you on that final question.
Sure. I think scalability of content. So whether it's scalable of accessing the content, whether it's personalization, localization, it's about being able to do more with the content you have rather than just increasing the velocity of content creation. Content velocity itself is exponential, getting faster and faster as far as what people are looking for and the different things that they're looking for within the content and the experience. But that doesn't necessarily mean having to create exponentially more different content. It's about using the content you have that works and understanding it in a more efficient way to be able to deliver it in multiple different ways that are meeting the needs of the audiences.
Brilliant, brilliant. I think that's actually a really nice way to wrap up this panel discussion. So thank you very much, everybody, for your thoughts. It's been a pleasure to have you experts join us today and give your opinions, and super excited to see you all using V2 and hope to talk to you all again soon. But with that, I'll pass it now back to Dominic.
Thank you so much for sending it over to me, Barry, and for the amazing panel discussion. So we're not done yet. Actually, I'm kind of like going to transition out now, but please don't leave the stream yet, because right after me, there's this little surprise that our friends at Codex and our amazing marketing team produced that you should definitely check out too. It's based on a real story that happened for us ourselves when we launched our new website back in 2021, February 2021. And the characters in the thing that you're going to see afterwards are actually based on real people here at Storyblock. So definitely stay tuned on that. So be with me for another 1-2 minutes. So there are a few things that you need to do. You need to check out Storyblok version 2. With an amazing new image editor directly in the asset manager. The look and feel of the app is so much nicer and faster. You can select own data centers in different locations in the world. More to come, looking at US, at Australia as well. And there's so many amazing things that you can look out for in Storyblok version 2. So we are looking for your feedback now. So everything that you might find, be it any issues, any bugs, any new features that you expect us to implement in the next couple of months, throw them at us. We're really having an open book on our live chat. We are creating Jira tickets left and right, and our team is resolving them even faster than they have been created. So please send us everything through. We are on a hot fixing spree and then release for next week with a next update already. So please send all the feedback our way. Also, make sure if you're interested in version 2 and you don't have a project set up right now, book a demo. Our sales team is ready for you to actually get demos scheduled really fast. We're happy to present it. We have so many cool new demos in the back of our hand that you should definitely have a look at. So please book a demo, either registering on our contact us form or sending an email on sales@storyblock.com. We are thrilled to have you as a potential customer. So make sure to check it out. And really important, next week, Storyblok from the block, or Stories from the Block actually, version 2 edition is going to happen next week, Wednesday, August the 10th. Should that be? That should be correct. So in 6 days from now, we will have a deep dive into version 2. So we just scratched the surface, as some of you might have done for last year, but now you can have a proper deep dive into version 2. And you can see what you can do with Storyblok. There's so much to explore. There's so much to discover. With that, one more thing to say. 2 people found the tweets from 2021 that showed the version 2 preview, a sneak peek. And I got a surprise for you tomorrow. So that event raffle has been done. There might be more coming up for emails. Some links that we have talked about will be sent out. And now enjoy something amazing that our marketing team together with Codex produced. And see you soon. Thanks for joining, and bye-bye.
How in the world could I forget about this?
There's no need to freak out. We have Storyblock.
Robert, you're right.
But we still need a plan.
Okay, how much time do we have left until the launch?
24 hours.
Okay, let's go.
We are ready to publish.
So let's get this baby online.